The story begins on a gloomy school day with Danby, a high school senior in her final year, just days away from her university entrance exams. The problem is that she's absolutely hopeless at math. She always dozes off in math class, which annoys her teacher so much that one day he calls her to the board. Danby stands frozen, unable to solve a single thing, and the teacher scolds her harshly in front of everyone. That evening, instead of studying, she lies on the couch glued to her phone and music. Her mom, watching in frustration, tells her that if she solved math problems the same way she memorized song lyrics, she'd already be a genius. She jokes that Danby must have inherited her father's poor math skills and warns her that no university would take her like this. What bothers Danby most is when her mom changes the TV channel to another historical drama she always watches. Annoyed, Danby leaves the house and goes to her best friend's place, but her friend only reminds her that this is her last shot. If she fails now, there's no future waiting for her. The next morning, Danby oversleeps. She rushes out of bed, throws on her clothes, and bolts out the door. Her mom calls after her to do her best and get into a good school. On the bus, Danby nervously flips through her notes, trying to study, but fear builds inside her. When she reaches the exam center, she jumps off the bus, forgetting her umbrella in the rush. The rain pours as she runs toward the building. But then, suddenly, her steps slow. She freezes, panic flooding her mind. The thought of failing terrifies her, and instead of going inside, she sits under the downpour, wishing she could disappear. In front of her is a shallow puddle, rippling from the rain, yet strangely, she sees a group of people in ancient clothes gathered together, praying desperately for rain, saying it hasn't rained in 3 years. Before she can react, she's pulled into the puddle, drowning. But instead of dying, she emerges in the exact same spot, only now she's in another world. Confused, she asks people nearby if they're filming a historical drama. The king sees her odd behavior and shouts in fear, asking if she's a demon. Nervously, she says she's just a high school student, but to them, it sounds like she's chanting some magical spell. Guards surround her with swords drawn. Thinking fast, she blurts out, "I know why I'm here. Please, God, send the rain." The people repeat her words like a prayer, and while they're distracted, she slips away. She finds a room filled with ceremonial robes, puts one on, and sneaks into a gathering with the king. There, the king announces they must stop relying on superstition and instead learn science and mathematics to solve their drought, but the chief priest objects, calling math dangerous nonsense and insisting that the heavens are angry, demanding the king perform a sacred ritual with the queen. Danby tries to sneak away but is caught again and brought before the king, who says coldly that she should be executed. She panics and says she's from the future, knows history, and, thinking quickly, claims she's brilliant at math. Intrigued, the king gives her a Pythagorean theorem problem to solve. At first, she doesn't understand, but when she realizes what it is, she solves it instantly. The king is astonished, saying his scholars take 3 days to solve such a problem. From that moment, she is treated as Gosam, a male scholar, and given a mission: teach math to the people. The king becomes her first student, but to her shock, he doesn't even know how to count. She starts from the basics, teaching numbers, addition, and subtraction, eventually working toward multiplication. She hides the math lessons whenever the queen visits, pretending they're practicing music instead. One day, the king notices she's starving and invites her to eat with him, but she doesn't like the palace food and cooks instant noodles from her bag instead. The king loves them despite the spice, but the next morning, he's screaming in discomfort, thinking she cursed him. She explains it's just the chili upsetting his stomach and teaches him about the human body. Impressed by her knowledge, the king asks her to teach all the royal scholars of Joseon everything, from science to agriculture. They grow closer, sharing moments like playing ball in the courtyard, but danger lingers. The high priest doesn't trust her and demands she prove herself. If it doesn't rain in 2 weeks, she will be executed. Danby works tirelessly, building a rainfall gauge with help from the palace musician. Then, at last, rain begins to fall. While she is overjoyed, the king remembers her promise to leave once the rain came. He tells her to escape, but she refuses, saying she's tired of running away from her problems. The musician, secretly working with the high priest, tries to kill her, believing she's dangerous, but ultimately helps her escape. The king searches for her and eventually finds her at the sea. That night, under the stars, they share a quiet moment. The king confesses his love and his dream to create a simple alphabet for all people. Danby realizes his face is on the currency from her world, meaning he truly will succeed. But the palace politics worsen, whispers about her being the king's concubine spread, and she runs when she realizes they're preparing her to sleep with him. The king catches her and reassures her he won't touch her, but says she must stay for appearances. She sees the astronomical system she helped create, and then the king shows her the new alphabet. He places the royal hairpin on her head and asks her to stay forever, but she cries, saying she must return to her mother. He grows angry, accusing her of believing the future is better than Joseon, and storms off. That night, she's attacked and stabbed, the hall set on fire. The king saves her, and it's revealed that a book in her bag blocked the blade. The high priest admits he did it to stop the spread of the new language, fearing it would cause chaos. The king refuses to be stopped, declaring he'll build it anyway. As rain begins to fall again, Danby says goodbye to her friends and walks with the king to the seashore. She steps into the same pond she fell into before and sinks beneath the water, emerging back in her own world, only seconds having passed. She runs to the exam hall and takes her seat just as the test begins. Months pass, and one day after school, rain falls again. A man holds an umbrella over her. It's someone who looks exactly like the king. He smiles and says they met a long time ago on the bus, when she dropped her umbrella. And just like that, the story ends. If you've made it to the end, let us know what you thought in the comments and tell us what you'd like us to summarize in the next video.